Why? I mean, hello? Wait, whoa. Slow down. What are you talking about? What do you mean Vince McMahon wants to give Baron Corbin every single world title and change the name of the show to Monday Night Baron and Tuesday Night Corbin? And he wants to turn Drew McIntyre into an egg gimmick? Right, that is how easy it is for wrestling rumors to start. All I need to do is go and take the information I just learned and post it on the internet, and you never know how far it's gonna get. And sometimes all of that goes and explodes in all of our faces, which is exactly what Hulk Hogan failed to do against the Ultimate Warrior at Halloween Havoc in 1998. And if you haven't seen it, go and watch it now, it's damn right hilarious. However, sometimes when you have a credible source and a guy that's been in the field for a long time, your ears should prick up and you should listen a little bit closer, and that's what we're going to do right now. Wade Keller, he of Pro Wrestling Torch fame, recently had a caller onto his podcast show who said he hangs out with some of the WWE writers and he'd learned a bunch of information, including that Triple H is officially frustrated with Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Why? Here's why. It was somewhat unnecessary. Quite the statement, isn't it? When you do picture the WWE hierarchy in your head, you probably see quite a united front, because that's the way it often gets presented to us. And really, that's what you need if you're going to run a successful company. All the people in the war room have got to be coming together and building a strong foundation. But when you do think about all the crazy rumors regarding Vince McMahon and then how Triple H may feel about that, well, there is a little bit of smoke, which means there's a lot of fire. Over the last few weeks, the game has even been liking tweets on Twitter that insinuated as such, but when it comes to that, I will call baloney, because I do that all the time and I bet you do too. How many times you flick in there on Twitter and you accidentally push the button that likes a tweet and your phone makes that vibrate and you think, you're like, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. I follow people like that all the time, then I unfollow them and I feel really bad. One time, I wanted to zoom into a picture, I double tapped it, and it liked the damn thing. Again though, when you engage your brain and think about this logically, it probably is true, or at least it could be true. And that's the part we need to focus on. And of course, a big reason for this is how NXT talents are treated once they get called up from the Developmental League. Often called up with no plan in place and then vanishing from existence. And of course, I'm talking about the likes of EC3, Nikki Cross, until recently the Viking, Raiders, Warriors, whatever they're called now. They're just gone. No Way Jose, Apollo Crews, and so on. It flies completely in the face of what Triple H was telling us back in the day, which was he doesn't want any of his underlings, his young pups, to make it to Raw and SmackDown until a very secure plan is in place. Because if we do that, they can be introduced to a new audience and not just become, where did those people go? I mean, they were here, but now they're not here, guys. I mean, that just hasn't happened at all, even with someone like Finn Balor. If you actually go through Finn Balor's main roster journey, it has not been a straightforward path at all. It'd be like me telling you right now, I'm going to sail to America, but when I leave the United Kingdom, I go right. And if you want to know, America is left. So when you think about it like that, of course he would be frustrated. Triple H is putting all this time down there in Florida. While I understand that he could respect Vince McMahon's decisions, that doesn't mean he has to like it. Within this report, it was even said that Triple H goes out of his way to console certain wrestlers and let them know that maybe eventually it's gonna be okay. He's like a mother duck taking in his children and covering them with his wing. It was even said that he is the most frustrated guy in the entire locker room, and of course all of this helps with the whole Triple H should take over rep that's going on right now, and maybe he damn well should. It's not out of the realms of possibility, especially when you are basically writing for an audience of one, and that's been the mantra for so long in WWE, I can't even remember when it started. And if you are confused, yes, the one, of course, is Repo Man. No, it's not, it's Vince McMahon. But it should be Repo Man. They both share a name, McMahon, Repo Man. They're brothers. It does paint a picture that many have always feared when it comes to behind the scenes at WWE, and that ties into the recently announced wildcard rule too. Apparently, according to our friend that little new system wasn't even in place the morning of the day it was created. And that means Vince got up, he ate his, I don't know, steak wrap, whatever he does for breakfast. He tried not to sneeze, and then he got to Raw and went, we should have a wild card rule. Then a few hours later, we had a wildcard rule, which obviously has had diminishing returns already, and it's only about 10 days old by the point of me saying this. It completely ruined the brand split, which apparently was also ripped to shreds, as that had been planned for months, and then it got thrown out the window. So if that's frustrating you and I know it is, because I've seen comments all over the internet, on Twitter, on Facebook, like I say, everywhere, then why on earth wouldn't it be frustrating? Triple H, if a problem is a problem, and it's an obvious problem, then if you're a normal, smart human being, you're going to be able to observe the problem and go, can you believe it? I'm frustrated, and I'm the game. Spit water everywhere. I mean, he can't be happy for the likes of No Way Jose. That character was never going to headline WrestleMania, but he sure could have had a place, and he could have been entertaining. The only memory we have of him now in May 2019 is that he dyed his hair green and then got beaten up by Lars Sullivan. Frustration was also the word of the day during this entire back and forth, and that goes for the writing team, who are sick and tired of having all their ideas just destroyed before they even make it to television, and Neville, aka Pac. And you all remember what happened with him a couple of years ago. He walked out, and it was described here as him flipping out when talking to Vince McMahon and deciding to leave and never come back. Now, as we are talking about Neville, I assume when they say flipped out, he literally did a flip, because, you know, he's Neville, and during that, McMahon probably got really excited and went, the man that gravity forgot, and then did that whole 1, 2, oh, which he used to do on commentary. Either way, he doesn't sound like somebody who was happy, and when you go through all the information that has been out there over the last few months, I don't think Triple H does either. Turn the clocks back to WrestleMania 35, or a few months before the show of shows, and there were more rumours out there saying that Triple H and Vince McMahon were clashing about plans for WrestleMania and the Universal title. Now, as we know, Seth Rollins eventually got put into that spot and reclaimed the red belt, which you've got to imagine is a tick in the Triple H box, but we don't know, and if they are going at it all the time, that's just going to add to any down feelings there are. We don't want down feelings. If you watch Ups and Downs, you know we want up feelings. Always, golden up. That was almost 5 months ago, and are you telling me that we're here half a year later and still they can't see eye to eye? That doesn't sound good to me, and probably explains why Raw and SmackDown are becoming crazier and crazier every single week. Again, you need everyone to be together, especially when your backs are against the wall. I think the biggest takeaway is that when we're yelling at the programs and giving things brown downs, there's people within the company doing that too. Again, let's look at the writers. If I had written something that I thought was pretty badass, I presented it to Vince McMahon. At one point he went, that's really good, Simon, we're going to use it. And then I got 7 days later and told, you're a moron, you should never suggested that, we're never going to use it, and now you're in my bad books. You're damn right I'd be upset. I'd probably even cry. And all this is before we get into extra nuggets that were a part of this discussion, including Bray Wyatt being praised backstage and helping out other wrestlers with their promos. Dana Brooke, who apparently goes out of her way to head up to NXT and get better and sets up the ring. And Mojo Rowley, who apparently is, like, you know, at one point Vince McMahon's favorite toy, and then somebody he couldn't care less about. And that one I completely believe, because look how he's booked on TV. One day he's there, one day he's not, one day he doesn't have blue goop on his face, the next day he does have blue goop on his face. I don't think this blue goop is helping anybody. He comes and goes faster than my hairline did a few years ago, and the major takeaway from all of this is that if there is chaos, or somewhat chaos, behind the curtain, that absolutely makes sense about why we're seeing it in front of the TV cameras too. Chaos creates chaos, much like controversy creates cash. Isn't that right, Eric Bischoff? Everybody is looking for an answer, but the only person that gets to decide on what that answer will be is Vince McMahon, and it doesn't sound like his thoughts are aligning up with the rest of his team. So that's got to upset Triple H again, because he invests so heavily into NXT. This, when they do get called up and get treated like nothing, he may as well be pissing into the wind, because it's just, you know, water flying everywhere and you don't know what direction it's going to land. I'm sorry for giving you the, you know, the mental image of Triple H pissing in the wind, but that's what it's like. Who knows where anybody's going to land up? You just don't know. It's the same with the commentary teams too, you know. We all get on their backs, but again, apparently, Vince McMahon is screaming into their ear from the start of the show to the end. And if I'm doing a Y series, again, to try and tie it back into me, to just underline the example, if I'm doing this video and I had somebody shouting in my ear, eventually I may take out that earpiece and crush it into my hands and chuck it on the floor. but then I will get in a bunch of trouble, so it's just best I do what I can and then go home and sleep and once again shed some tears. Ipso facto, nobody should be crying when it comes to pro wrestling, and nobody should be as frustrated as they are. So, we don't know how much truth there is. This is just one person's noise going against some other people's noise, but it seems pretty obvious to me, or at least I can believe it, and usually when I can believe something, it turns out that thing is 100% the truth. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and go watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon Miller. Thank you very much for watching the Y series. I always appreciate it, and I do believe that Triple H is probably rather frustrated with Vince McMahon. I mean, the other thing I should have pointed out, who doesn't get frustrated with their boss? So you could even argue out there, put a little comment going, you're overplaying this, Simon, you're overdoing it. That's just an employee, which the game is, getting mad at the person that's in charge. And also, it's Vince McMahon's company. He can do whatever he wants. All of that is true. All of that is 100% true. But go watch Raw. Go watch SmackDown. I don't think anybody feels like they're on the same page. And it starts here. The answer being, we have to bring back Diamond Dallas Page just because Page is in his name. That's how low I just dropped with that joke. It's a low point for me. Let's push the elevator button. There we go. Slowly going down. We've done this before. We do it again. The best thing about the elevator, or the lift, whatever you want to call it, is that I slowly move out of view and you'll forget about that stupid thing I just said. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely day.